Dozens of wildfires in Western Canada are generating immense amounts of smoke that are drifting across the country into the U.S., sparking air quality alerts in parts of 5 U.S. states today, even there in Wisconsin. Young children, the elderly, people with health conditions in those areas are being advised to stay inside. Now, obviously, wildfires are a seasonal hazard, but it's May and it's in Canada, and fire season there usually doesn't peak until July. But of course, hotter temperatures and much longer fire seasons are part of the new climate reality. Right now, the average global temperature is 1 degree Celsius warmer than in the late 1800s. We've warmed it 1 degree. When I started covering climate 15 years ago, 20 years ago, a global temperature increase of 1.5 degrees Celsius was viewed as the real danger threshold, because anything over that was going to get real ugly. This week, we got word from scientists that it is very likely we will hit that threshold, 1.5 degrees, by 2027. So the old window of what used to be considered the outer bounds of what we can deal with, we're likely going to hit that within the next 5 years. And of course, with 1 degree, we are already seeing, and we are going to see more of, an unfathomable amount of human misery across the globe, as the destruction and economic damage from climate change forces people to flee their homes and to become refugees. It is the #1 challenge in the world, as it has been, and it is only becoming more so. A civilizational challenge, unprecedented in scale and scope. And it is really striking that as we begin the official 2024 campaign with people like Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, and Ron DeSantis jumping in to challenge the ex-president for the Republican nomination, this issue, the most important one, the central civilizational challenge of our time, is utterly and completely absent and ignored from all Republican political campaign discourse. I was thinking this the other day when I saw that the Glenn Youngkin, the flashy new video suggesting maybe he might be thinking about running in 2024. It almost seemed like a joke, like a comedic shtick to wonder, well, what's his climate plan? Because, of course, it's preposterous. I don't think he has one or will have one, because Republicans don't care, truly do not care, if we melt the earth. They are either in denial or they're actively on the side of the polluters. But it is actually the single most important question for anyone running for president. What are you going to do to meet the targets we have to meet to decarbonize as rapidly as we have to have a chance of not heating the planet to 2, 3, 4 degrees Celsius? Now, in the case of the incumbent president, Joe Biden, he got the Inflation Reduction Act passed, the first ever climate legislation that we've had, really, which by itself is insufficient, but so far has been successful beyond all expectations. Demands for tax credits for things like wind and solar projects and electric cars are exceeding projections. We're seeing real movement in the energy transition for the first time. Sales of energy-efficient heat pumps are now outpacing traditional fossil fuel furnaces in people's homes. We may be about to get a huge boom in the use of hydrogen for industrial purposes, which is a game changer. So that's the first part of the change, right? We need way more investment from where that came from, more things like the IRA. But the Republican Party doesn't care or talk about that. It just doesn't exist in their universe. Instead, what they do is go to bat on behalf of the fossil fuel companies to try to destroy the energy transition. That is what they're doing right now in this fight over the debt ceiling. Their demand to repeal most of the new tax credits that make energy cheaper and cleaner and to allow more drilling for fossil fuels. Those are part of the demands of the House negotiators who briefly paused debt ceiling talks today to extract more leverage over the White House. That's what they want. Drill, baby, drill. Here we are, 15 years later, essentially the guiding ethos of the whole party and all the candidates. And so we're just stuck in this bizarre situation. The most pressing challenge in the world, the most important thing to have a position on and a plan for, Republicans have succeeded in rendering completely invisible in the #1 political contest in the country. And I guess what I would say was I would urge fellow journalists, particularly political and campaign journalists, not to collude in that erasure. Because, of course, the climate doesn't care whether we talk about it. It's going to make itself known either way. Just ask the folks choking on all that smoke.